to do with that. And now that you know all of that, it makes sense that both campaigns are pushing hard for Georgia voters. Just today, Dr. Joe Biden and Donald Trump Jr. spoke at multiple events across the state. And within the past hour, we found out that the president himself, Donald Trump, planning a stop in Macon on Friday. We have some insight for you that really shows how this traditionally red state is now up for grabs. I spoke with Professor Joseph Watson from the University of Georgia to break down how your vote will matter. But let's go in depth to give you some more information with Professor Joseph Watson. Thank you so much for hanging with us. And I wanted to bring you on because we want to know, we know we're battleground state. We don't lean one way or the other, kind of, at least not right now. This is huge for Georgia right now. Put that in perspective for voters.
Well, Georgia's been solidly Republican since the early 2000s. And so to be in play right now, this late in an election, is very unusual for Georgia.
So tell me about voter turnout. What does that do to people at home watching right now, deciding what they're going to do, vote early, not vote at all? What kind of information should they have, knowing that we're this battleground state?
Well, you have to understand that this is going to be a close election. The polling shows this race tight, both at the presidential level and all the way down to Senate and down ballot races. So turnout is everything. In a race this close, turnout will determine who's going to win this election in Georgia.
I want to arm people at home with all the polls, right? We do our own polls here at WSB. Should people take the polls into consideration? What's the point of the poll when it's a percentage point away from each other?
Polls are snapshots in time, and I encourage people to look at a series of polls, not just one poll. But ultimately, the only poll that counts is the one that's held on election day and the actual vote. So take them with a grain of salt, but they're good at giving you a sense of the direction of the race.
Last question. We're a battleground state. Do we have blops of red in the metro and blops of blue in rural areas, or is it very just clear cut?
Sure. I mean, you have places like, like Albany, Georgia that, are more Democratic, and you have, suburbs of Atlanta that are more Republican. And so it's not, cut and dry. It's not black and white, but the trend is increasingly blue. And right now, the trends see increasing Democratic turnout, especially judging from the June 9 primary election.
And like you discussed, Professor Watson, it's all about voter turnout, and we are seeing record numbers of people turning out to vote. So thanks for that perspective, UGA Professor Joseph Watson. Thanks so much.
Thanks, George.
And we have so much information about Georgia and the election on WSB-TV.com. There we have dozens